And we'll continue with A House Like a Lotus by Madeleine L'Engle. But not until she and Ursula had joined the throng for Christmas. As soon as Mother and Daddy heard that Max and Ursula were at Boulaire and about the connections with Sandy and Denny's, they invited them for Christmas. Max won't come, Sandy said, but she called and accepted the invitation, so Urs will have someone to talk neurosurgery with. Granted, my Uncle Denny said. Ursula Herschel has overworked ever since I've known her, but it still seems atypical of her and Max to come here in the dead of winter. In the spring when the azaleas are out, yes, but not in December. It's quiet, Mother said. True, it's quiet, but I'm the one who's the researcher. Ursula's a superb surgeon. You're right, Denny's, Sandy said. There's something odd about it. Christmas was cold and clear and perfect. The sun glinted off the Atlantic. We had fires going in both the living and dining rooms. The little kids played outside with their new toys so the rest of us could have some reasonable conversation indoors. Denny's, Urs, and Daddy talked about the mysteries of the brain, and Daddy took them off to the lab. It does seem weird to me that the octopus and the human being share so much of the neurological system. Max, Mother, Rhea, and Lucy talked about the state of the world, which as usual was precarious, and about the state of American education, which was deplorable. Kate is getting an education just living in this zoo, Aunt Lucy said, while we were gathered in the kitchen, basting the turkey and doing various last-minute things. Kate was nibbling the candied grapefruit peel we'd made a few days before. Coppertown High's okay. I'm learning plenty. And going to all the dances? Aunt Lucy asked. Enough, Kate said. She could have said all. Kate always had half a dozen boys after her whenever there was a dance, and I knew that Mother and Daddy felt responsible for her and worried about whichever boy was driving and whether or not booze or joints had been sneaked in. But Kate had sense enough not to drive home with anyone who was stoned, and she always called twice to ask someone to come for her. Though we didn't tell Lucy and Denny's. If Mother and Daddy worried about Kate being popular and successful, they worried about me being alone too much. It was okay. I didn't want to go. Kate loves parties and dances and barbecues, and she gets bored if she doesn't have a lot to do. Not me. We'd put all the extensions on the table. Max had brought over an enormous damask banquet cloth, and with candles and oil lamps lit and the Christmas tree lights sparkling, it looked beautiful. The little kids all behaved reasonably well, and no one threw up. It was a good Christmas. And then Max and Ursula asked us for New Year's Eve. The grown-ups, plus Charles and me. Charles had grown taller, though he wasn't quite as tall as Zan. But he was still my special brother Charles, who understood me better than anyone else. We spent hours up in our favorite old live oak tree, talking, catching up, and I was going to miss him abysmally when he went back to Boston. In my eyes, Kate was not at all a fair exchange for Charles, but at least Charles was still here for New Year's Eve, and Boulaire was a perfect place for a party. All the verandas were full of lights as we drove up, and the great columns gleamed. Nettie and Ovid passed hot hors d'oeuvres, and there was lots of conversation and laughter. We played charades. Sandy and I were the best at pantomime, and Mother and Max were best at guessing. But we all threw ourselves into the game and had a lot of fun. As all the clocks began to chime midnight, Ovid opened a magnum of champagne, and after a toast, we all put our arms about each other's waist, standing in a circle, and sang Auld Lang Syne. When we were through, Ursula put an arm around Max tenderly, protectively, and I thought I would like to be protected like that. And we will pause there.